Hello and welcome to Liberty Explored. Today I'm sharing this video from Tim Dillon where he talks about Gen Zers waking up to propaganda and how old people are just completely stuck in it and will believe anything they hear because it confirms their confirmation bias. So let's get right into it.
Young people are realizing they're being propagandized at a level that older people gladly accepted. It was normal. It was fine. Older people were okay with being propagandized as long as they got a few things out of it. The young people are getting nothing out of it. Wait, you're lying to us and I can't own a house? I can barely have a job? I have to be forced into the gig economy? I get to deliver burritos? And I have to listen to this bullshit? And I have to pretend that this is all real? And I can't afford frozen yogurt with my girlfriend? And I have to go along with this horse shit? And I have nothing and no money for it? If you're doing something, you want to get something out of it. If you are going to delude yourself and believe the bullshit on the news, you have to get a little bit out of it. And what Americans got for many years was a patch of dirt, a little driveway, and a chance. They don't have any of that anymore. We've taken that all away from them. We've pushed them into a gig economy. We've pushed them into the hellscape of rent that goes up every single year. And the propaganda is actually getting worse. It's getting more disconnected from reality, more Orwellian. We're asking them to believe crazier and crazier things and taking away the little bit that most people had. People don't want to be billionaires. People want a house, a family, a little retirement plan, some money in the bank if there's an emergency. They want health care. They want some kind of steady job. They want a community with people that share their values. They're getting none of that right now. They're getting none of that. They're getting Kris Jenner's third head. Kris Jenner has a third head. And everybody's excited by it. People will tell you, the people that don't have any of those things will tell you that they like Kris Jenner's new head. Or they're excited that Taylor Swift, a billionaire, is going to marry Travis Kelce, the man who was birthed by Pfizer. And people have to live vicariously now through that. Why are the kids turning on the engines of propaganda? Number one, they're too smart. The technology is there. They know they're being lied to. Here's number two. You're taking all of the things away from them that this entire system was supposedly, purportedly set up to help them achieve. So if I'm a member of the ruling class, I'm going, what are we doing here? What exactly is happening? We're asking these people to believe this bullshit that Jeffrey Epstein is just like a weirdo rich guy. No one else did anything wrong. We don't have any of the files and the videos aren't real. It's actually nothing. Nothing happened. Everything's fine. He never had any relationship with our intelligence agency or another intelligence agency. He had no relationships with anybody. Nobody did anything. He was just a weird rich guy. Don't worry about it. We're asking people to believe all of this stuff and telling them, and the reward for that, okay, is to deliver a Caesar salad to someone. That's the reward. Your job now is to deliver a Caesar salad. Not that it would have been right to buy the bullshit anyway, even if you had the things. But I'm just telling you how the country ran for 100 years. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not saying it was morally correct to go, I'll take the house and the car and you fucking kill everybody. I'm telling you that's how it worked. That's how the country ran forever.
Yep. So he's nailing it right there. And I think I would also add that it doesn't really matter why people are turning against it, but just to understand that the kids today are done with the bullshit. Like he said, we have the technology. We can see the truth for what it is. We can see propaganda for what it is. Just follow the money. It's always been this way. And I think when you see certain people like Patrick Bet-David, go on that Jubilee podcast debate forum that he just did. It was, what was it, 20 communists against Patrick Bet David, and a lot of them were setting themselves into a position of wanting communism. And I think that's actually a natural reaction when you see the system being so corrupted and so abused. And what is this capitalism system right now? Of course, somebody like him who only understands from of course, he got lucky. He worked really hard and he earned what he got. And that's the way the capitalism system works. And that's fine. It's worked for quite a long time, and it's been very successful for us. Our country, it made our country the best country that has ever existed, supposedly. But what's happening right now is the fall of an empire, and capitalism is not the best design system in the world. It clearly creates incentive to, during its height, which we're at the height of an empire, or actually we're crumbling now, we're falling from the heights. When a system reaches that point, the incentives reach a cataclysmic point of failure. And those people on the Jubilee panel are right in wanting communism. And just because somebody like Patrick Bet David can't explain a better system and says that, well, of course, all communist systems fell or were corrupted from the inside. Well, that's because they're communist systems in a capitalist world. The capitalism system is, it consolidates power. And so because of that consolidation, it creates an incentive for people to lie, for people to cheat, for people to steal. And every single thing about capitalism will take you down this road and lead us there. And so right now where we're at is a system of total propaganda, just blatant lie in our face. Anybody who went against it, we saw this during COVID, will be shut down. You'll be censored. And that's what power looks like. So you follow the money if you want to find the truth, right? You follow the money and you'll find that, I mean, that's how you find the propaganda. You find the truth by realizing that whoever's guided by this money principle, whether they have the incentive to create this propaganda, they have an incentive to lie to increase their sales. We have shareholder primacy laws that have created a environment where no matter what you do, no matter how much you try and care for your employees and give them a better life, so like the Dodge versus Ford shareholder primacy case from 1919, I believe. Somebody can check me on that. But that case set a precedent where shareholders usurp the needs of employees. And that was specifically about employee wages. Ford was trying to increase the employee's wage so that every person who was an employee of Ford could buy a house. That is a goddamn noble motive, right? He should have won that court case. He didn't. That was Dodge against Ford. And Dodge, who was taken over by Jews, by Israelis, they literally won that case trying to force the seat of power upon everyone. And to this day, that shareholder primacy law is still adhered to and creates the precedent that every corporation has to adhere to, so that every corporation is more interested in shareholders than they are in their own employees. That's sickening, right? So can a better system exist? Of course it can. For one thing, honesty, right? We can have an honest system. And just because capitalism creates more successful people than communism doesn't mean it's a better system. So anything that has propaganda running the motivation behind creating mass formation, creating a psychosis that sucks people in, turns them against their neighbors, turns them against their family. That is a sickening system. That is disgusting. And it should be stopped. And thank God the Gen Zers are waking up to this right now. We're never going to change the boomers. There's of course, there's a few good ones out there, but most of them are so stuck in this insanity, they will never, uh, look at themselves. Right? It's really hard to look at yourself and recognize your own problems. And once you've joined a team with mass formation, it's almost impossible to get people out of it. And all we had to do was look during COVID, which was a perfect example for this. And still to this day, look at this ridiculous congressional hearing with RFK and Bernie Sanders. Nothing has been more sickening to watch. Watch Bernie Sanders literally just follow the money. He's literally supporting big pharma. He's literally protecting them, shielding them from liability when they already are protected and shielded from liability. That's what power looks like. They've been protected and shielded from liability since the Reagan years, when they created whatever bill it was that made it so no vaccine could be they couldn't be held liable for any vaccine injuries ever, and that is insane. And then people think that because certain stats or data only supports them, that they're on the side of the right. And it's the right side, not the right versus the left, but that they think that they are correct, that they are the righteous ones, the heroes or the heroines of the story. But anyone who's lying to create their platform, anyone who has to trick people, that's evil. That is not the right way, and that is not the hero. That's the villain. So the fact that they created an incentive for doctors and hospitals to lie about what caused the deaths of all these people, it greatly increased the numbers. And so all these leftists, all these people like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, they sit here while they're taking huge money payouts, as well as every other congressional member, except for just a few. Every single congressperson is taking money from Big Pharma. Every single media network, mainstream media network, is taking money from Big Pharma. That's why they didn't say anything about it. It's clear as day. The Gen Zers have woken up to it. A lot of the other generations are waking up to it. The boomers won't. They'll never admit it. They'll never admit their own fault. They will not understand. You could sit there and have a black and white argument with them about data and data points, and they'll ad hominem attack you. They'll gaslight you. They'll use every logical fallacy in the book to try and undermine you. And it's horrific. It's horrible. And that's the world that we live in right now. And it could be better. This is a designed system. We are the ones in control. We are the people we outnumber all these fucking fools. We outnumber them, and we have the power, but we need to come together, right? And the problem is that we're not coming together. The problem is that too many of these fucking boomers are the ones with the money. They're the ones with the houses. They've gotten everything. They've gotten what they needed to fulfill their life, and now they're totally fine corrupting the minds of people. They're totally fine taking the lies just so that they can keep their houses, so they can keep their assets, and keep their money in the bank. Meanwhile, Gen Zers don't get nothing. They don't get a house. You get a shitty job. You don't get to have even the education system is broken because it's been co-opted. Every single aspect of every single industry right now is at a point of increasing catastrophic risk across every different level. Every single industry is susceptible right now, is vulnerable to a catastrophic failure that will cause a type of domino effect bleeding into other industries, bleeding into every industry. So when one thing goes down, it draws the whole thing down. Look at last year how we had one tiny virus took down the whole internet for whatever it was, a few hours. That's the level of catastrophic risk that's happening at every single point in every industry across the whole world, because we live on a system of lies, because we live in a system of death is more profitable than life. Lies are more profitable than truth. And so only a few people are waking up to it, but luckily more and more are. So that is what it is. We all have to do our part, wake up. It's about individual respect, individual authenticity, truth, fighting for truth, fighting for our collective goodness, fighting for some type of moral authority, moral structure that the whole world then becomes based on, not based on anti-moral, not based on anti-life, right? So anyway, thanks for watching. If you like this content, hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.